This following episode is brought to you by my birthday. Yes, my birthday. So wish me happy birthday. Welcome to the Anonymous Andrew Podcast. Life and the choices we make. The choices other people make. This podcast explores all things as they relate to dating and romantic relationships. Why we ignore, or choose to ignore, or miss the red flags. Red flags like gaslighting, cheating, lying, narcissistic behavior, deception, and so much more. Join me each week as we continue my journey into the modern dating world with my weekend rants, anonymous guest dating stories, and experts who share their wisdom so we can better navigate the dating terrain. If you are new to the show or have been with me from the beginning, hold on tight for the Anonymous Andrew experience. Greetings and welcome to the Anonymous Andrew Podcast Weekend Rant. And this one is a little special. Today is April 12th, and that is significant because it is my birthday. So happy birthday to me. Okay, so I decided to come on and do a weekend rant on the day of my birthday for, a myriad of reasons. Going to give you kind of a synopsis of where my head is at, where the podcast is at, where I'm looking to take this, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so first, let's talk about the birthday. So, got up. So, I got to start with this. If you go back last year and look around April 12th, you will see a weekend rant or a special episode that I put out because there is a woman in my life. I'm not going to say much more than that other than we had a past together. A long past, actually. It started while we were teenagers. So it went from... I'll just leave it at that. So last year, I did a special episode on her. I wanted to thank her because every year on my birthday, for as long as I can remember, she starts texting me at, for example, this morning I got up at 5:30 and there was already a happy birthday wish from her waiting for me. And she does this every year. And it's not just a text in the morning. It's a text in the morning, and then throughout the entire day, she makes sure that I am aware how much, I know this is going to sound egotistical. She makes me feel very special, and she lets me know how special I am, special I am in general, and I guess in her world, she thinks I'm very special. And she lets me know that throughout the whole day through all texting, but it's like with memes and pictures, and then comes words of affirmation and beautiful sayings and quotes, and it's very heartwarming, very. So last year I put out an episode specifically thanking her. She does listen to this podcast from time to time, and so I know she'll be listening this weekend. I told her that I'd be thanking her. So to this person, you know how much this means to me, what you do for me on my birthday every year, and I just cannot express enough thank yous. It's really special. And what makes her stand out is that, while I did get, 15 other text messages yesterday from my kids and friends and so forth, it's hers is just ongoing. 5:30 in the morning, and it is now, so it's Friday evening. It's about 7:30, and I had a pretty good day at work. All right, my birthday. So my boss, his birthday is April 13th, the day after mine, and so every year we kind of celebrate. But because his birthday falls on a Saturday, the office does a cake for everybody on their birthday. So, right, they buy a cake, they come down, happy birthday, yada, yada. And yesterday, because they did not want to combine the boss and I on the same day, they wanted to, whatever they're doing for him tomorrow, I don't know. But they bought a cake, and then they bought a second cake, like one of those little mini chocolate cakes. This one had mousse and chocolate something on it. They gave it to me to take home to have for the weekend. And I'm not sure where I was going with that, but so it's 7:30, and I just got a text message from this friend of mine asking me how late am I going to be up tonight. She said, "What's your bedtime?" And that tells me that she will be texting me until my head hits the pillow, which is very kind. And I don't know how to express it any other way, but this is a annually thing that she does. And what's interesting, and I hope she doesn't mind that I say this, but what's interesting is that we don't really talk the rest of the year. Okay, it's a very unique and interesting yet complicated situation. But there have been times when we do reach out to each other. There's even a phone call. And from time to time, I have asked her to go out and have dinner with me. And to my friend who's listening to this, you seem to dodge that question every single time, except this time when I asked you, you gave me a very valid excuse why you couldn't do it. I'm going to not discuss what you said, but anyway, I've been trying to get her to go out to dinner just to catch up. Friends do that, and yada, yada, yada. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that. Thank you to you. You know who you are. I just don't want to give any more information. And here's another part. So I'm doing this on my birthday, right? The weekend rant. I am, and what I'm about to say to you is going to sound, well, I don't know how it's going to come across. So I'm now single again, right? I've been single now going on 18 months. And I'm sitting home on my birthday, Friday night. Nobody, and I'm saying this not in a way that I'm wishing they had, but nobody said, let's get together and go out and have dinner, or let's go do something. But I'm totally okay with that, because one of the things that I needed to do in this past year and a half is learn how to be single and alone and sit in my own skin and not rely on either a girlfriend or other people to make me feel whole. And one would think that a birthday, you can put all through that logic right out the window and say, well, but it's your birthday. You go out and celebrate. Yeah, but no. So, but I'm okay with that. But you know why? Because after I finished, when I finished recording this and editing it, and and I did have a recording before this with somebody, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. I am going to crawl into bed and take that chocolate cake that they sent home from work, and I'm going to eat the chocolate cake and binge on some Netflix, okay? And I'm completely fine with that. One of the things about birthdays, when you get to be up near my age, is I don't know, and this is my opinion, of course everybody will look at it differently, I don't find them as significant or as celebratory as when you're 20 or 30. So 30 years old, milestone, you're somewhat of an adult now, and so I can see where people would go out and party, go get drunk, let's go dance. If I was in a relationship, maybe get laid, whatever. 40 years old, another milestone, maybe even 50, big 50, big 50, big birthday party. But when you get to where I am at, and this is going to sound really pretty morbid or negative, while I'm alive and healthy and doing well in many regards, it's just the birthday just is 1 year closer to mortality. Okay? I know that's morbid. I know that sounds, negative. But listen, I'm having hip surgery in 6 weeks. This will be the second hip. I had the left hip done 10 years ago. I have some heart issues. Yes, I'm healthy, but at this age, things in the body start to break down. And the hip is just one of them. That this happens to be either genetic because my mom had both her knees replaced, or it could be overdoing it with tennis. I don't know. Anyway, all right, let me see. I think that's enough with the birthday. Podcast. So, over the past year and a half, so I have somewhat of 150 episodes from the very first episode until even last week. Just about every episode that I have done has been based on the past relationship that I was in. Because this podcast was spawned, created due to that relationship. Why it ended, what happened during it, what she did to me, all that stuff. I'm not going to go over it now if you don't know the story by now. Although I know that there's some people that are tuning in for the first time, and I'll explain that in a minute. I'm getting a little... While I did talk about this woman incessantly, I tried to, sometimes I morph this podcast into, forget the relationship, let's just talk to guests like coaches and therapists and psychoanalysts or authors or people who have wisdom into the world of relationships. And then, of course, I went on this journey of let's find my next partner. So I said, let's turn this podcast into Andrew's journey into finding his next partner, or hopefully last partner. And I've been doing that, and I'm doing well in that regards, except that I always seem to get sucked back into that woman. I'm going to ask you guys a question. If you, let's say you were a woman, or to the women listening, And if you were a potential, let's say we met on a dating app and you stumbled upon my podcast, knowing what you have listened to so far, would you date me? I wouldn't. Go listen to some of the episodes just as much as a month ago. I can't seem to get through an episode without bringing her name. Well, I never named her, but without bringing up the ex. And I don't know if it's subconscious or it's just because the guest that I'm having on, we're talking about something either to do with gaslighting or deception or cheating or whatever the guest, whatever his or her specialty is while we're interviewing, she always comes up. And I expressed this in last weekend's, I don't know if it was the rant, but the episode with Michael Osterlink. I'm getting pretty done with this. I can't keep doing it. While I have moved on from this relationship and it's 18 months and I am over her, I can't seem to pull myself away from her energy, her bubble, whatever you want to call it. So, where am I going with this? 2 months ago, I did a pod series on the Twin Flames universe cult, and it was brought to my attention. I was part of a Facebook group that was supporting people who escaped Twin Flames, and I saw an opportunity to get off the subject of dating and get off the subject of the ex, and I did 7 episodes on the Twin Flames, and it was a success. I gained somewheres of upwards of 1,000 listeners within 7 episodes. You, as a podcaster, that's huge. Every podcaster, one of the main goals is to increase your listenership, your audience. So, I'm doing it again. We have another cult group that I am involved with now, and this one is going to be better because the Twin Flames universe cult, the series that I did on that, I did not have anybody from Twin Flames on the episodes. I reached out to, so if anybody saw the Amazon or Netflix documentaries on the Twin Flames, a lot of them, that were the people that were in the documentary, were also in this Facebook group. And we're talking about some of the ex-members, the family members. If you saw the documentary, you know what I'm talking about. They were all in this Facebook group, and I reached out to each and every one of them. And 50 or 75% of them straight up said no, as I invited them to come on and talk about their experience. And I don't blame them, or I see why they did that, because they already did it with Amazon and Netflix. It was 2 years ago that they did the recording, and or they may have gotten paid for it, and or there may be some sort of a non-disclosure agreement or whatever with Amazon or Netflix that they can't do another interview. I don't know. This is just pure conjecture. But I got turned down on every one of them. There was 1 or 2 that were considering it, and they took a couple of weeks to think about it, and they finally said no. However, I did get other people who, so there was Megan, not Megan, there was a woman who knew Megan, Jeff and Shalia's name. So Jeff and Shalia run Twin Flames, and Shalia's birth name is Megan. And so there was a woman who grew up with Megan. There was a woman who rented a house or a bedroom in a house. If you listen to the pod series, you'll see that I had many people on who were somehow had something to do with the Twin Flames, and it did very well. So I'm doing it again, but this time I am actually having people who are ex-members of cults. This Facebook group, this support group, are for people who either grew up in a cult or joined a cult and they somehow escaped. Why is escaping a cult so important? Well, this is something we're going to be talking about during the episodes. Many of these cults, and if you know your history and you go back to some of the, like Heaven's Gate and Johannesburg and all these cults, the Doomsday cults, they're dangerous. They're suicidal. There's a lot of sex abuse. There's financial loss. I don't really think I have to explain to you what goes on. So escaping these cults is a big deal. And so when they get out, and that's why when I'm in this Facebook group, we already have 5 people lined up to speak, to interview. I've done 1 interview so far, and that was last week, and you might have heard it. Her name is Melody, and Melody is the administrator of the Facebook group that I'm in. It's called Escaping Cults and Recovery Support Group, I think, something like that. Melody is going to be joining me as a co-host going forward on the next pod series, which has already started. And tomorrow I have a big interview with a guest who is, I'm not going to mention her name yet, but this one is a good story. So the point I'm making here is that this pod series is going to be a little bit different than Twin Flames. We're going to have real people who were in cults, and they're going to share their story. And it's going to be various cults. Some of these cults you or I have never heard of, but that's kind of why I'm bringing this and bringing awareness to this, is that there are an enormous amount of cults out there. Some of them are just these small little whatever, in some small bum town in Texas or whatever. But some of them are like Twin Flames. They're big, or they're international, and they're doing a lot of damage. Again, sex abuse. I don't have to get through it. This is the stuff we're going to cover. So, bottom line here is I'm going to be taking a little bit of a break. Now, from time to time, you're going to still hear a guest that might have something to do with relationships. Why? Because I've already recorded 7 or 8 guests that were done back in December, January, February. I can't not publish them. These guests took time out of their schedule. They booked an appointment with me, and they have come on the show to not just be a guest and help with their wisdom, but they may be promoting something, and I can't just not air the episode. So over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be kind of bouncing back and forth. I can't not air these episodes. This weekend, this is the only episode I'll be putting out. Tuesday, if everything goes well tomorrow, I have a really good interview lined up for Tuesday. Whatever the date is. Today's April 12th, so 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, I think, whatever. So, all right. I think I'm thinking of what else I can chew your ear off while I have your attention. I guess the only other thing that I have to update you on is my dating journey. Okay, while I did mention that I'm taking a break from the concept of this last relationship, part of this podcast is my journey going out dating in the modern society. Oh, there is something I did. Okay, I knew there was something else. I have come across a new dating, I want to say app, and it is. It's only available on iOS, but it's more of a desktop platform. It is, and I'm not getting paid for this, but I thought it would be as a podcaster and the dating world, I'm going to always bring to you anything new or something that I found interesting. There is a new dating platform called Volar Dating, Volar, and it is based, for the most part, in the beginning, in AI, artificial intelligence. And there is only one other dating app that I'm aware of, and I did an interview with a gentleman, Eric McHugh, go back 2 months or so, and that's called Dating. And it's spelled dating.io, dating.io, but it's data. Anyway, they're based in AI. It's an AI-based platform. They're up and running, but they're not quite there yet. They don't have enough data. They don't have enough members to start matching people. Volar is up and running. They launched, I think, April 1st. And Volar, it's very interesting. What they do is you go to their website and you don't even really log in. You click on start and you begin to converse with AI, a bot, an artificial intelligence bot. And this bot will start asking you questions. And so, like let's take Bumble or Hinge, where you would sign up, you would have to create a profile. So you would upload pictures, you have to write a little bio, and then, of course, there are those 20 questions, what's your gender, what's your preferences, what's your height, all that stuff. And then you got to come up with something witty, two lies and a truth or something, all that crap. Volar doesn't do any of that. This conversation that you have with this bot, it will literally start asking you questions about you, what you're looking for, what your gender is, what your partner gender is. It's about a 10 to 15 minute chat with the bot. It's all you type, you don't talk to it. And it will build your profile for you. And then you have to upload. So the only part that's similar to the other apps is you do have to upload pictures. You have to upload 6 pictures. So it's the same as Bumble or whatever. Once you've done that, you're done. The AI bot, and this is where it gets kind of, some might call it creepy, but it will go out and find a match for you based on the information that you gave it. If it finds a match, it then talks to, all right, so let's say it found a match and her name is Janet. Okay. It then talks to Janet's bot. And Janet's bot and my bot have a conversation, completely AI based on the information in the profile. If this was YouTube, or I wish I could show it to you. Every day I get a notification, you have a match, and you open up the app and they show you the conversation between Janet's bot and my bot. And I have to be honest, it's quite impressive. It's as if two people are talking. So it kind of takes away the awkwardness of that initial texting. So like if you match with somebody, you have to, how everybody complains about, don't text me with, hey, how was your weekend? Or, yo, what's up? So it takes that all away from you. It starts the conversation. So it'll send me a match and say, Janet, the bot will say, Janet, Janet's bot and me think that you two would be a match. And then I get to look at Janet's pictures. And I can read the bot, the conversation they had. And if I like what they talked about, and I think I like her pictures or whatever, I then take over from there. I can send Janet a message. And then the bot goes away. If Janet agrees, she could turn me down. So they say we're a match, but Janet could say no, we're not, and it just dies right there. It doesn't go any further. But if it does match, like Janet wants to talk to me, we can then have a conversation. Here's the little bit of a problem that I found with this. That from what I understand, it wasn't supposed to happen. But I'm already seeing fake profiles. Now, I've contacted Volar, but several of the matches that I got, these women were... All right, so as you guys know, I'm in my young 60s. Some of these women were like 38, 40, and they lived halfway across the country. And when I clicked on their pictures, there was no doubt in my mind these were fake pictures. They were, you guys, it was like they didn't even try using whoever sat. So a human had to do this. The AI is not going to, this is why I don't understand how Volar can't fix this, or they didn't address it. So a human had to sit down and start the Volar profile. So it's not another bot like on Bumble and some of these places. When you chat with somebody, it's a. So I'm thinking these are just scammers. Somehow the people in the Middle East or in Turkey or wherever they're doing this from are sitting down and creating profiles on Volar. And I again reached out to Volar to let them know there is no way that there's a woman 38 years old from Nebraska that likes me. It was too obvious. So anyway, I just wanted to mention there's a new AI dating platform on the scene. I found it to be quite interesting, and I'm going with it. If nothing else, more for content for the podcast. But I'm calling Volar out on this, is that there are already scammers on there. They have got to be. I have not yet had a real conversation with one of the humans that I matched with, because when I saw their pictures and she was 38, yeah, she was beautiful, but I'm not going to chat with somebody from Nebraska. I live in New York. I'm not going to Nebraska or Texas or Arizona. They were all over the place. They were all over the country. So what you can do is I went back to Volar's bot, so you're assigned like a personal bot. I went back and I said to it, can you please not send me people from 1,000 miles away? And it came back to me and it said, oh, okay, yeah, I'll make that adjustment in your profile. And it's interesting because I did that a couple days ago and I have not heard or gotten a match since then. So it's possible that they narrowed down my profile to stay. I told them, keep it within 30 miles of where I live. So they're a new app. They're a new platform, and they may just not have the database of people yet. There may not be enough people. Even though I'm in New York, you think they'd have a big database. Apparently they're not. They don't have enough people yet. So this could be, I don't know, 6 months or a year before they're really up and fully running with a full database of people. Check it out. It's free. There is what they call in-app purchases. I haven't gotten that far, but I know that you can create the profile, have the artificial bot match you, and you can actually talk to people without paying. But there's some sort of purchases somewhere in there. And I think right now they're limiting it because they need the people. They need you to join. They need people to join, so they're not charging. I don't know what lies down the road. So as far as my dating life, that's I'm not aggressively looking for anybody at this moment. Again, hip surgery in 6 weeks. No sense to start dating somebody because I'm going to be laid up for 3 to 4 weeks recovering. So unless some woman would like to chat with me while I'm recovering, but it doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to lay low for a while. I'm only on one other dating app, and I'm barely using that as it is. So I think I'm just going to get through this surgery, concentrate on the podcast, and do the cult thing. And anyway, that's where I'm at, people. I'm excited about this cult pod series. It gets underway this Tuesday. So, okay, here comes the begging. If you are enjoying this podcast in any way, shape, or form, or if you're not, but you're listening anyway, I'd love a review. Down below on Apple, you can leave me 5 stars if you think I deserve that. If not, please tell me why. And on Spotify, you can do the same thing, except Spotify, you can now leave reviews for every episode. And I'm hearing also that if you're on Apple and you have the iOS 17 point something, somehow it removes your downloads on podcasts. So if you've downloaded this podcast or followed it or something, it unfollowed you, me, whatever, just make sure that if you're a regular listener, just make sure that it says subscribed or followed. Apple did something where it reversed it in the last update. That's what I'm hearing. And if you think somebody else in your life might benefit from this podcast or just like hearing my voice ramble, please pass this along. And as I end every episode, please, if you're getting into a committed relationship or engaged or any of the above, just take some time, please, before you commit. Were there any red flags that you might have overlooked like I did? See, I had to go back to the last relationship. It just I get sucked into it every time. But it's real, people. It happened to me. And that's why I started this podcast, to help you avoid getting sucked into bad relationships. I'm going to shut up and say thank you so much for listening. Until next time. Ciao.